And so, deeply rooted in the equanimity of being, deeply rooted in the self, being here now. That you are not looking for something that you are not. You are just looking away from the distraction in order to see the glory that is here. It is just to look away from all that regularly, habitually pulls the attention in order to be here now so fully that you can see yourself, that you are looking only at your own clear reflection in this moment, here now. You discover the stillness that you are. Discover the silence that is. Remember the wholeness that has never ever been touched in any way by anything that has happened in the play of the world on the surface of life. You remember the equanimity. You remember the purity, the simplicity that you are in truth. Underneath the play of complexity, underneath the play of multiplicity, you discover the oneness where all beings meet as the one being, the beingness. The ego sense is just a knot of contraction. And when that knot of contraction relaxes and releases, you can feel yourself here now. It's as if the felt sense of who you are, of what you are, seems to expand. It doesn't actually expand. It's just that the habit to distract and look towards the content instead of looking towards yourself. To look towards yourself is to be here now, feeling the felt sense of being here, being one being. There is nothing that is lost, not in the way the mind imagines. What is lost is the misery. What is lost is suffering. What is lost is the illusion. What is lost is the idea that you are not enough, that you are not wholeness. What is lost is everything that you already don't want. The idea that something is lost can see that it is created by the mind. Because how could awakening to your true nature and living in your God nature encompass lacking something, losing something, missing something? Of course, the mind sees it that way because the mind thinks in terms of what is missing and what is lost, what is not enough. But wholeness is wholeness and is wholeness, and it includes absolutely everything. So how can coming to remember the wholeness that you are involve any kind of loss? In truth, concepts of the mind are just ways to perpetuate the habit of being identified with the me and with the ego sense. You continue to be a unique flow of laws of nature. You continue to be unique while knowing your innate wholeness and oneness with all that is. You are required to live your uniqueness utterly freely. It is a requirement to live the unique flavor, to sing the particular unique song that you are here to sing on the surface of life. You are not here to mimic anything or anyone, not even the greatest saint or sage. You are not here to mimic. You are not here to become an idea of what you think you should be. You are here to be so free that your uniqueness can sing in the profound way that it is supposed to sing. You are here to live the freedom of the divine as a human expression. You are not here to lose anything. So let that rest. You have never been doing anything. Everything is being carried. Everything is just happening. When you let go of the idea that you are the doer, you will be amazed to find that everything is still happening just the same as it ever was. The good things and what the mind would call the bad things. But when you are resting as the equanimity of the being that is, you are not evaluating and judging. You are not working from a set of preferences, trying to control and make things work for the me. You are living as the being that just is. You are fully and wholly identified with the divine nature that is one divine nature. No one is left outside, not even any single being that the mind would call the most evil, wicked being. Even that being is divine, just as divine as any other. There is nothing outside of this wholeness. The mind has so many ways, so many strategies to divide, fragment, but it is the mind that splits up wholeness. But wholeness itself never splits up. Wholeness itself never divides. Wholeness itself never fragments in any way. Wholeness is wholeness is wholeness. And God is that wholeness. Love is that unconditional wholeness. And that which is always knows its wholeness. God doesn't see you as missing. God knows that you are one with God. Of course. But when you are resting in that knowing, then you are beaming with the shining and luminous radiance of that knowing. And that is the glory that we are here for. We are here to live as a beam of divine radiance. Beaming divine radiance. The mind loves all the ideas that are very strict. It loves all the practices and all the ideas of the strictness because it loves to fail at it all. It loves to not succeed. It loves to get it wrong and confirm itself and perpetuate its story of smallness. It loves, in a curious way, to not be good enough for God. It loves to not be enough, to not be ready. It loves to suffer, feeling its pain body with all of the ideas that are just created in the mind, out of the mind. They are never true in the I that is God. They are never true in wholeness. So much mental activity, so much content, so many strategies, so many ways to distract. Essentially, it is to know the truth that you are here now. This part is actually incredibly simple, to feel yourself here now, to feel the boundless simplicity of just being. But it will be constantly overlooked by the mind because the mind thinks it knows something, and it is constantly wanting to be with what it knows, wanting to confirm what it knows. And it's actually, curiously, wanting to suffer a little bit more, struggle a little bit more. To know yourself is to feel the felt sense of being here now. We speak of feeling the longing, that which you are longing for. And feeling the longing brings you to this moment. It brings you to the presence that just is. It brings you to your own presence, the simple presence, the presence that has no story, the presence that has no strategies, the presence that has no past and has no future. No story, no drama. Not very interesting here for the mind, is it? Right? So the mind says, nothing here, this cannot be it. And so in a nanosecond, the mind kicks off and it just keeps whirring and whirring. But all it takes is for a moment for the mind to stop long enough for the gaze of your infinite nature to be full enough that you can never ever forget the truth of who you are. If that gaze, if that seeing of yourself is a moment where you see, you know, you remember, but it doesn't land deeply, 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 then it will feel like you are moving backwards and forwards. If there is a deep enough landing, a clear, clear seeing, even though there can be the sense of moving backwards and forwards because the play continues to play in order to refine, you will know the truth of who you are. And whatever is playing on the surface, you know the truth, and you will not leave that truth. Can feel very curious. How is it possible that I can know this truth, but I can still be identified, can still get lost? because the docking isn't full yet, right? So you dock and you undock. You dock and you set sail. You set sail into the land of life. And you know that is okay. It's exactly the way it is supposed to be. Of course it is. There's nothing wrong. Of course it is. That is the way that things refine. That is exactly the great orchestration of the divine. It's to live life fully, take it in, receive it, get lost, struggle a bit, suffer a bit, come back to yourself, make a vow to never leave. And then something comes in, and before you know it, off you go again. And it's exactly the way it is supposed to be. And what you start to notice is that every time you leave, the coming back is sweeter. That the cycle of transformation is carrying you deeper, and you are feeling more wholeness, more love, more openness, more purity. You cannot see it happening in a step by step, but you suddenly recognize what has changed, what is different, and you marvel, you marvel. You feel gratitude, you feel awe and wonder, and you start to notice that that sense of balance and equanimity, of presence, that it used to feel like you would visit, is starting to be where you are residing. It's starting to be known as who you are. It's not someone residing in an experience. You are residing, abiding. You are resting deeply in that which is true. The more presence, the more awareness. Of course, as the balance tips, your nature is the presence. Your nature is the awareness. So the more you are resting in your true nature, the more you notice this is who you are. You are the stillness. You are the silence. You are the awareness. You are the equanimity, the balance. You are the simplicity. And you start to recognize it more because it's who you are. And as the balance is tipping so that you are residing, abiding more in your true nature, the simplicity starts to take over. Complexity falls away. The knots of contraction, of conditioning, of ego sense are falling away. And the knowing is shining. The knowing is shining. And as the knowing shines, that shining is the radiance of the heart. As the knowing shines, it is the self-knowing itself. It is the radiance of the one heart that is starting to feel like the radiance of your heart, because it is. That one radiant heart is the true heart that you are. It is the true nature. And as you start to feel the knowing shining, you are that which just is, the truth of who you are. So here now you are. The glory is here. It has never been hiding. It has never been fragmented or divided. Has never been anything other than whole. When you feel yourself here now, you feel the longing, you feel the sense of being, the stillness, the silence. Could be the aliveness of the longing as you feel yourself here now. You are resting as the openness. You are resting as sheer simple availability. This is already a taste of true nature. If you have already moved deeper into the knowing, then these pointings will bring you to the deepest possibility that has already been recognized. And you are just resting here. It is to feel the unbounded infinite nature of being yourself, and to feel the point value that is still here. You are a point in the infinite field. You are the infinite field and its point, let us say. You are the infinite field and its point. You are the infinite field and its point. The point is the uniqueness, but it's not an individual that is separate, in any way divided from the whole. It is a point of the infinite field, a point of wholeness, a point of unconditional love, a point that is shining with the same wholeness that is God, shining with the same unconditional love, shining as the wide open heart. So you feel yourself everywhere, and you feel the unboundedness, the spaciousness. It feels like there's an expansion, but it's not really an expansion. It's just that the attention being fragmented and divided by habitually landing upon objects and content is starting to come into an undivided resting, a depth of presence where all of those tendrils of attention are being pulled in and relaxing. And in that relaxation, there's a sense of expansion that happens. You feel in the here now more presence. When you feel more presence, you feel more spaciousness. You feel the boundlessness of your nature, the infinite open quality of the being, just being. You recognize that the being is everywhere, and this is who you are. Somehow you know this as who you are. You know that you are here now, and the felt sense of yourself is so much vaster than the felt sense of yourself when you are focusing upon things. Then you feel small, you feel the contraction. As soon as a thought comes in that creates identification, then you feel to be the contracted sense. You feel to be only the point. But when you feel your infinite nature, you cannot find a reference point in the same way. You feel the sense of being, can feel your uniqueness, but you feel the infinite unbounded nature, and you are one with that infinite unbounded nature. Can find yourself here now, but you are not the body and the mind, and yet the body and the mind are somehow included. But we focus to start with on the spaciousness, to really come to feel the infinite nature, really come to feel the infinite nature, and how the infinite nature is not touched by the mind and the body, how the being is not touched by the activity of mind, it's not touched by what's happening in the body. We come to recognize the cosmic nature of the mind and the body. But to start with, we want to really know the knowing. We really want to know the unbounded infinite nature. We want for the perspective of seeing to shift, so that the perspective of seeing shifts from being the me looking outwards from the body and seeing a world and feeling like a singular point that is divided and separate from the whole. We want for that perspective of seeing to shift, so that the recognition is, I am the infinite unbounded, that you feel the infinite unbounded field of being, as being who you are, can feel that it is yourself, that you are the being that is infinite, and you have never ever been anything other than the infinite being. There's a naturalness that will start to include the body and the mind and reveal the cosmic nature, because of course everything is included. But if the mind is trying to keep itself alive, keep its contraction alive by attempting to include itself as a concept, then that concept will act as a container. All concepts act as containers. So we have to free ourselves into the true nature that is free of all concepts, all beliefs, to feel the vastness, the openness, feel the truth of who you are, that is boundless, equanimity, simple harmony, a harmonious flow, let us say. And when you feel yourself here now, the felt sense before the first thought, the I am presence is the felt sense of being here. When you come to the I am presence, you come to the resting place. And here you are aware of the moving, changing. Here you are aware of the I am presence. And as you rest as the I am presence itself starts to dissolve into itself, where there is nothing referencing the I am presence. It's just the being itself, just the being itself. So you feel that you are the being, can feel and confirm that you are the being. But the being is not confirming itself using the mind. The being is confirming itself in the innermost being. The being has to confirm itself and know itself in the realm of being. And this happens when the aware being is only being aware of itself being. So simply being here. Yes, awareness is aware of the moving, changing. But when the aware being comes to focus and rest its attention, just recognizing that the aware being is also aware of just being here. When the aware being is aware of itself being here, this is where there is a sense of expansion. This is where there is a sense of moving through the aperture into the infinite realm of consciousness. This is where everything opens, and you are the openness. Have left the doer at the door, and now you are just being. And now you are the expanded field, and you recognize that this is the truth of who you are. You are this vast open field of consciousness. You are everywhere, you are nowhere. Can feel yourself just here. You know yourself as the here-ness. You know yourself as the now-ness, the timeless being that is eternal, before time, not of time. There is no time in the being. There is only presence, presence. And presence is always now. Timeless, the timeless now. So as these words come, it is to feel the resonance of what is being pointed to. Feel the resonance and fall into the resonance. The resonance is your true nature. It is the self. It is the resonance of silence, where there is no mind trying to make sense, no mind trying to work it out. It is just what is, simply being itself. And you feel the resonance, and the recognition is simple. It's not a journey. It's a spontaneous moment of recognition, of clear seeing. You fall in and you recognize you are the being. And here you are as the wide open heart. And the felt sense is, how could I ever get hooked by anything that comes in? That can never happen again, because there's such clarity here now. So revel in the clarity, revel in the purity, revel in the innocence of being yourself. Revel in the glory. To revel in the glory is to drink in and celebrate the truth of who you are in this moment. And of course, this moment doesn't contain a mind that says, but what about, right? As soon as that thought comes in, it could carry you away, but do not let it. Rest here in the revelation. Revel in the revelation, the glory of who you are. Revel in this moment. Revel in the glory, the shining radiance of the heart that is. This moment. You see, as soon as there is a tendril that goes out towards a thought that is attached to past or future, you will leave yourself and you will enter time. You will enter the contraction. You will enter the play. The magic is to be able to move in the play without leaving yourself. To move in the play as a flow of wholeness without leaving yourself. To swim around in the waters, the choppy waters of life. Swim around in the still and beautiful waters of life. Swim around in the variations that life offers. Swim around, but never leave yourself. Know the truth of who you are. And as you are swimming around, you recognize that everything that you are swimming in is yourself. Everything that you see is yourself. When you are docked in the heart of God, when you are resting in the knowing, you can swim around in life, can swim around and never leave yourself. And then you are swimming around in revelatory celebration. Great glory, free of the play of karma, swimming around as your true self. You see, you are stillness, you are silence, you are in the deep resting nature, and you are in the flowing, dynamic nature. You are both, because both make up wholeness, right? You are never one or the other. You are always both. It's like two sides of one coin. The coin is never separated. Wholeness is never separated. You are the deep resting stillness, and you are the dynamic flow of stillness, of the silence that's moving as the aliveness of knowing itself. And as knowing knows itself, it moves and flows in order to refine itself. So you swim around and you flow in life as life. And in the moments that you seem to forget that you are life flowing in itself, it is just to come to a deeper remembering. Anywhere you find separation, it is not to be ashamed. It is not to try to cover it up and pretend that you are Ramana. It's to recognize that you're having a moment. You're having a moment in time where you have left the dock and you are swimming around. It's just to gather that peace into the wholeness. It's not to try to deny it. It's not to try to bypass it. It's not to try to justify yourself on a previous experience. It's just to be so open and honest, to be so open, honest, that you can reveal everything, because everything is impersonal, right? There's no one here to defend. There's no one here to try to be anything. It's all about being yourself. It's about being your perfect divine nature and your imperfect human nature rolled into one wholeness, where there's nothing left to judge. Everything is just happening. Everything is just happening. And the more there can be an allowing, the more you recognize that true nature is that which is allowing. True nature is that which is accepting. And it allows the flaws of humanness to play themselves out without judging, without having opinion, with total openness, welcoming it all. Come home. Let this peace come home to divine remembering. This is how all of the pieces that we have hidden and suppressed, this is how the story of not enoughness, of something missing, of something lost, something could be lost. What am I going to lose? Where's the catch? Right? The mind that's always looking for the catch. There is no catch in wholeness, because wholeness includes everything, even what the mind might think as a catch. You are so smooth that you do not get caught. You are so smooth, flowing as yourself, swimming in life, but docked in the heart of love. You are not leaving yourself. You are not judging anything that is happening. You are docked in the heart of love. You are swimming as life, life living itself, never leaving itself, unconditioned, enjoying itself, reveling in itself. This is the glory that we are here to live. This is the glory that we are here to live while we have a body. It is what the body is here for. So the body is used for consciousness to experience itself, to refine itself, because as it experiences itself and refines itself, it is benefiting the whole. It is in service. It is the way that it comes to know itself in and as everything. Nothing is to be denied, but it is to see from the true and clear perspective. When everything is seen from the true and clear perspective, nothing can be denied, because who is here to deny it? Denial is the defense mechanism of the mind and the me. The story of denial is the story of the me. The story of truth is the truth of who you are, and it's a very simple story. It's the timeless being that is just here now, just being as it is. It is a story that has no past and no future. It is the presence. It is the present moment, rich only with its own nature. Rich in the knowing of itself. Rich and reveling in its own true nature. So it is to be here now, grounded, rooted in this truth, rooted in the being, rooted as deeply as this knowing knows itself, to be completely available here now, present, open, feeling the felt sense of being aware of all that is moving and changing, using, we could say, the awareness of what is moving and changing as a way of falling deeper in, aware of what is moving and changing, yes, and aware of the awareness that is aware. Yes, This is where it gets really rich, right? Being the awareness of the moving and changing is still a quality of mind, still a quality that wants to let go more deeply. So when awareness is aware of itself, being aware, it loses its focus on the objects, it loses its focus on things, and its focus falls into itself. Awareness, just being aware of itself, being aware. And the focus starts to get more intense. Aware of the moving, changing, aware of thoughts, yes. Aware of body, sensations, yes. Aware of the environment, the sense perception, yes. Now, what is aware of all of that? Where are you? Where are you as the aware being that is aware? If you are aware of your mind and the thinking that is happening, then you are not limited to the mind. Feel the truth of this. Let it land. If you are aware of the mind and the thoughts that come and go, then you are not limited. You are not that mind. You are not that story. You are the awareness that is aware of the moving, changing. Yes. And then where are you as the awareness? Fall deeper in. Fall back into the aware being that you are. Fall back into being the awareness that is only aware in this moment of itself, being aware. Fall into yourself. It is not about attention looking for something different. It's not about becoming. It's about attention relaxing away from objects. It's relaxing away from awaring of objects and things and falling into itself. This deep relaxation is a surrender of attention to just be aware of just being here, being aware of being here, being the being. And where you feel the knowing, drink in the knowing, drink in the nectar of knowing. Feel the knowing, because the knowing is the being itself, knowing itself. The knowing is on the realm of being. So you fall into yourself, you fall into the being, into divine remembering, into the knowing that just is. And this is where everything you can confirm opens up. You are the field, you are the infinite, you are the spaciousness. The expansion has happened spontaneously, boom. Right? You are everywhere, you are the presence. You are not the person of the moment, you are the presence of the moment, aware of the person. Be aware of the person. Be aware of the person that you thought that you were. Be aware of the thoughts of that person. Be aware of the body of that person. Where are you watching from? Where are you watching from? And when you feel yourself everywhere, as you feel yourself, I don't know where I'm watching from. I do not know. This is where the I don't know answer is the perfect answer, because the I don't know allows you to fall more deeply in. Are you here? Take a look. Where do you go to find out? Are you here? How do you know you are here? Where do you go? Where do you go to know you are here? Be with that. Be where you go to confirm that you are here. Are you here now? Yes. Rest where you can confirm your own simple presence. Rest here. Rest here and just be. This is to be completely available for consciousness to flow deeper and deeper into itself, for the being to know itself to the most profound possibility. Do not try to measure it. Do not try to understand it. Do not allow the mind to hijack the moment, because this moment is the timeless moment. It is where the mind rests, where there is a complete relaxation of the mind, because the attention is not feeding it. When attention is not feeding mind, mind rests. When attention is resting in its own still nature, the stillness, the silence, feel the stillness, feel the silence. Feel the being that just is. The silence that is underlying all that is moving, changing. The silence that seems to be the background. It is to fall into the background. Let the background become the foreground. The background becomes the foreground when the foreground loses its distractive ability. Where the foreground has been the thinking and the moving, changing, as you fall into the background is suddenly the foreground. The stillness is suddenly the alive truth that just is. The silence of being, the silence of being that just is. Come to the silent being. Be the silent being. Remember the silence. Remember the stop, the stillness. Remember that which is not moving and changing. Remember the equanimity and simplicity of just being. Do not have to try to change the moment. You are the openness of the moment. You are the silence of this timeless moment. Yes, aware of all that is moving, changing, but not touched in any way. You are the silence, the stillness, the resting, the silence, the stillness, the resting. Feel how the silence is alive. Feel the silent presence that is alive. Feel where this alive presence is. You are aware of it. How? How are you aware of this? How do you know this? How do you know the silence? What allows you to know this silence? It's not the mind. Feel where you know this. Feel what it is that allows you to know this. The felt sense is everything. Fall into the felt sense of being the being the knowing that is, that you know this because you are it. The felt sense gives you this information of who you are in a way that is not an understanding with the mind. It's a knowing, a recognition on the level of being the being. The being knows through being itself. The being knows. Feel where you know. Where is this knowing? What allows you to feel this felt sense and know this being that you are? Cannot confirm it in the mind. You can only confirm it in the being itself. Can confirm it only in the heart. Can confirm it only in the silence of being. Mm. Mm. Being the being. The being itself. Silence, silently knowing itself. Feel the richness. Feel the ground of being. The rich ground of being. Resting here in this deep, surrendered relaxation. Mm. 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 Being yourself, simply being here, feeling your vastness, the vast infinite nature, and seeing from the vastness, seeing from the vast open heart, seeing from wholeness, seeing from the unconditional field of love, seeing from here where everything is included. The heart is always wide open, allowing, accepting, openness. Seeing from here, can see the mind, see the body, can see the moving, changing landscape, but you are not touched in any way. Feeling the wholeness, the purity of who you are, the vast totality of who you are. That you never have been limited to the singular point. You could say that the singular point surrenders into its infinite nature, and then you know yourself as the infinite field, and the one that you thought you were is a singular point, the point value, a unique configuration of laws of nature, and that is what continues. But you are not divided, you are not separate. You never leave yourself. Even when life is living itself, life is living through the form. You are life living itself. You are that which is animating the form. And the form that is the one that has a name, that is moving in the world, that one is never separate from the whole. There's a uniqueness, a flavor, let's say, but the flavor is made up of a cocktail of consciousness. It is not the truth of who you are, the separate one, the story, the past, the future, the drama. It is the letting go into the vast, clear perspective of seeing, and then allowing the flow of life to live itself through the form. The silence the stillness of being, the equanimity, the simplicity, where all strategies, concepts, ideas, and beliefs fall away. None of it is needed because this moment is rich with true knowledge, pure knowledge, self-knowledge, the self-knowing itself. When you know the self that you are, this knowledge is greater than any other information. It's greater than everything that the mind thinks that it knows. It is the pure knowledge, the simple knowledge of the self, knowing itself, opens to this vast field of intelligence that is the true wisdom. And so resting here as the vastness, the openness, the stillness, the silence, the simplicity, and the knowing that is the rich nectar. It is to drink in the knowing. Tell the truth, drink it in, be yourself. Do not leave. Do not leave.